पैदा हुई थी तब आपका नाम ही कहीं लिखा था, माँ बाप ने आपको नाम दे दिया, उस नाम से आप जानेंगे। लक्ष्मण जी ने सीता माँ की ने लक्ष्मण रेखा खींची। अब आप कहोगे वो लक्ष्मण रेखा कहाँ लिखी है? भाई वो मर्यादा की रेखा है। आपके माँ बाप बोलते हैं पिज्जा मत खाओ, अब आप माँ बाप से बोलो कहाँ लिखा है पिज्जा मत खाओ। आप माँ बाप बोलते हैं बेटा मोबाइल मत चलाओ, अब आप माँ बाप से बेटा माँ बाप से पूछो, माँ बाप बोलो कहाँ लिखा है कि मोबाइल मत चलाओ। भाई माँ बाप जो बोलते हैं आपके हित के लिए बोलते हैं और आपको ना which is lifting of भरत के पाँव की जूती की स्त्री। I want to
Out of the sky, a speedrunner inexplicably jumps to a higher platform.
What the?
And an election recount is triggered, all because of the same invisible phenomenon that permeates the universe. On May 18th, 2003, voters in Belgium went to the polls. In many regions, voting was done on a computer, something the Belgians had been experimenting with for over a decade. But the system had a backup. Each voter would insert a magnetic card into the machine and make their selection on screen. Their vote was saved both to the computer and the magnetic card, which they dropped into a box for redundancy. Late that night, as the votes were being tabulated, one of the election officials detected a problem with the results from Schaerbeek, a municipality in central Brussels. Maria Vindevogel, a little-known candidate with her own party, received more votes than was mathematically possible. They knew this because of the way the preferential voting system works. So they took out the magnetic cards and started a recount. One by one, they fed each of them through the machines again. And after several hours, the recount was complete. The vote totals for every candidate were exactly the same as before, except for Maria Vindevogel. In her case, the recounted number of votes was less than the original by 4,096. So what went wrong? How had her original tally been inflated by over 4,000 votes? Computer experts were brought in to run extensive tests on the software. They combed through the code but could find no bugs. They got the computer that had made the initial erroneous tally and tested the hardware again and again, but they could not replicate the error. Everything about the hardware seemed to be in perfect working order. And this left only one possible explanation, and it is seriously weird. The clue comes from the excess number of votes Vindevogel received, 4,096.
Hey, Buster.
What you doing on there? Watching a little YouTube? YouTube. What a fucking name, man. You know, we really live in a dystopian society.
Holy shit. How many times do I have to tell you? I don't want you here. It's a 5-minute fucking YouTube video.
See that clock?
There's not a clock there.
No. I mean, now.
Why are you trying to get all philosophical on me? You always do this. You always do this.
I'm trying to save you from whatever the fuck that is.
This is quality content, you goon.
You know what you need to do. The other day I watched a video on YouTube where this dude found a dude sitting next to a lake and asked him his life story. The dude was a facial trauma surgeon,
which is a mind-blowing job.
He said when he was young, he went to school, strictly for a nice job and to make a lot of money. And he was successful, clearly. But he said once he got all that stuff, he realized the most valuable thing was time. His advice was to not waste it and find your passion. Pretty cliche, I know. But he connected it back to his job. He said the people he operates on, they get airlifted to the hospital, and just a few hours before that, they didn't even realize how lucky they had it. No matter how mundane or average or whatever you think your life is, you should try not to waste it, because you literally could have minutes to live. You genuinely don't know. And honestly, this video resonated with me a lot, even as a young person. I guess I've been having quote-unquote death anxiety. I don't even know. But that video literally explained my thoughts. I feel like I'm running out of time, even though I'm not that old. It's weird. It's really the reason I'm making this. I have so many ideas and I don't want them to be stuck in my mind when I die. But I mean, the silver lining is that this time limit on our lives makes everything so much more valuable, like the guy said. I try to apply this philosophy to my actual life. Anytime I'm doing something that's uncomfortable or scary, I try to remember that even the experience of discomfort is a blessing. It's growth. This is also the reason I don't
Fuck this. Fucking lag कितना कर रहा है. The fast fake it till you make it. What the fuck? Faking it gives you the best chance possible to make it. You Joe Bucko. Or the stocks, no, what the fuck? I don't want this toxic self talk.
We face as a species. We spend between 1/3 and 1/2 of our waking hours not living in the present. And what do we do during that time? We're talking to ourselves. Your inner voice is your ability to silently use language to reflect on your life. Chatter refers to the dark side.
ए भाई, तुम लोग की टीम से कंपायर भेजो ना। हाँ, मैं आता हूँ। Out there! Not out. Rated दे।
Stoicism, ये क्या होता है?
It is an art, choosing gladiators. They're usually prisoners of war.
I claim this city for the glory of Rome.
You will be my instrument.
I will never be your instrument, but I will have my vengeance.
This is war!
More than that. Rather than just a way to describe people who are unemotional, Stoicism was a way to view, describe, and understand the world. It was a way of life, and that way of life has lasted for centuries. Stoic philosophy can be applied to situations today the same way it was applied thousands of years ago, and its benefits are just as impactful. Stoicism allows us to process these negative emotions from negative experiences, and turn them into the thoughts that give us a unique perspective of the world. Perspective is everything, and everyone in the world has different experiences and thus different perspectives on things. Since the Stoics gathered, discussed, and taught philosophy in a public place, their general philosophy was widely known. They believed that the Stoic principles could greatly benefit anyone and everyone, and so it didn't make sense for them to hide that knowledge behind the four walls of a school or of the palace courtyards. As a result, everyone from slave to emperor could learn and become a Stoic. And they did. Some of the world's most notable Stoics include Epictetus, which translates to acquired, as he was once owned as a slave, Seneca, who was a well-renowned statesman, and Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most powerful men to have ever lived. The early Stoics practiced what they preached, avoiding all forms of segregation and leading the fight against inequality. They even invented the word cosmopolitan, which literally means citizen of the world. When people hear that word now, we think of cities like New York, Toronto, Dubai, and London because of how diverse they are. This was the type of unity and togetherness that the Stoics preached. Even at a time when it wasn't popular, women were allowed to freely learn about Stoicism and become Stoics themselves. So why do so many people adopt Stoicism as a way of life? In a world full of unexpected turns of events, our emotions can tend to get in the way of things. In reality, we don't really get sad because bad things happen to us, we get sad because unexpected bad things happen to us. Rain is a good thing. It helps to water our plants, provides water for livestock, and keeps the temperature cool and humid. But the truth is, when that dark cloud catches you outside without an umbrella, it's never a good experience. So why don't we start crying once it starts to rain? It's because although the situation is bad, we've learned to expect rain. It's something that is unavoidable. We can't control the weather. Although it sucks, the rain passes and the light returns. Stoicism teaches us that, in the same way, we should expect that everything bad that can happen will happen. Picture the worst outcome, and be content knowing it could happen. One of the Stoic exercises is known as voluntary discomfort, an exercise aimed at increasing feelings of gratitude. Sleep on the floor of your kitchen, taking cold showers when you normally take hot ones, eat nothing but potatoes for a few days, things like this. This exercise helps you to understand that no matter how hard it gets, you'll still survive and potentially thrive if your mindset is right. By being able to withstand these uncomfortable situations, we indirectly prepare our mental for future misfortunes. With the current state of the world where advertisements are constantly being shoved down our throats, We're made to believe that if we don't have the next best thing, look a certain way, or make a certain amount of money, that we will never be.
I was maybe 6 years old, driving somewhere at night with my dad, and I took a little nap, and I woke up, and he said, "Where did you go?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, what do you reckon sleep is for?"
Welcome to Masculine. Although our brain is a very complex structure, it's working.
I'm just going to get right to the.
At the time of this recording, I'm 44 years old, and if I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self and give some advice on how to get rich a lot faster, here's what I would say. Number one, don't make the mistake of becoming good at something you hate. When I started off, I thought I had to get great at everything. And it turns out that if you don't like something, if you hate doing numbers or doing sales calls or even doing customer support, when you get good at something you like doing, you can pay somebody else to take the things that you hate doing. Number two, go to bed and wake up at the exact same time every day. If you take anything away from this video, having the time that you wake up every day to create, to be productive, and go to bed on time. Most problems would actually be solved if you went to bed on time. The longer you do this for, it will compound into greatness.
Just let me know.
On the 4th of January 2012, a user on 4chan posted this image to the site's infamous B or random board. The anonymous author, who went by the 4-digit pseudonym 3301, challenged users to uncover a message hidden within the image. Unbeknownst to those who stumbled across it, someone had just set in motion one of the most elaborate scavenger hunts the internet has ever seen. Within minutes of the image being posted, someone discovered that by opening the file using a text editor, an appended string of readable text could be found. The string contained a cipher that, once deciphered, formed a link to yet another image. At first, this appeared to be a dead end, but using an application known as OutGuess, users were able to extract hidden information embedded within the first image. The extracted information led to a subreddit, which in turn contained information about the book. The book, along with a code, could then be used to uncover a phone number that, when called, played this pre-recorded message.
Very good. You have done well. There are 3 prime numbers associated with the original final .jpg image. 3301 is one of them. You will have to find the other 2. Multiply all 3 of these numbers together and add a .com on the end to find the next step. Good luck. Goodbye.
By the following day, the initial image had been reposted all over the internet. A growing community of armchair detectives sought to unravel this elaborate puzzle, but no one was quite sure what to make of it. What was the puzzle for? Who was behind it? What happens when you reach the end? Some naturally dismissed it as an elaborate joke, while others perceived its complexity as evidence against it being the work of a mere troll. Before long, rumors began to circulate that this could be the work of some secret society or intelligence agency, with the intent of recruiting individuals proficient in cryptography, steganography, and other related fields. Of course, it was nothing but a rumor. The 2 missing numbers mentioned in the recording proved to be the dimensions of the original image. After multiplying the width and height with 3301 and using the product as a web address, users were taken to a website. The website consisted of a countdown as well as an image of a cicada. When the countdown reached 0, the page was updated with a list of coordinates. The coordinates pointed to locations around the globe, 14 locations in 5 different countries. It was now up to participants living near the specified coordinates to rise from their comfortable armchairs and venture outside. Those who believed Cicada to be the work of an organization now felt their beliefs had been justified. In their opinion, only some international collective possessed the means and resources to create a scavenger hunt of this magnitude. This was not the work of your average troll. No, this had to be something else. At each location was a poster with a cicada symbol and a QR code.
On the bike shelter over here. See, I got it right there. Oh. You can see the corners. I was excited. I just kind of ripped it off.
The codes linked to an image. The image contained a riddle. The riddle led to a book, and the book led to a website. But here, the puzzle took an unexpected turn. Only a select group of first arrivals to this website were accepted into the final stage of the puzzle. The site eventually closed down with the message, "We want the best, not the followers." The finalists were also warned not to collaborate with others nor to share the details of this private stage of the puzzle. Well, given that we know this, it's safe to say that not everyone heeded that warning. But those who did presumably advanced through the final stages before reaching the very end of the puzzle. After nearly a month of silence, an image appeared on the subreddit announcing the conclusion of the puzzle, and just like that, the hunt was over. Cicada had supposedly found the highly intelligent individuals they were looking for, and whatever happened to them is a bit of a mystery, but more on that in a moment. The complete lack of an explanation was perceived by many as confirmation that the puzzle had been nothing but a wild goose chase intent on wasting everyone's time. After all, questions raised by the original image remained unanswered. What was the puzzle for? Who was behind it? What happens when you reach the end? However, as it later turned out, this was only the beginning. Whomever was behind this intricate game had the foresight to include an authentication code known as a PGP signature along with every clue. This allowed users to verify that an image or message was actually from Cicada, as opposed to some imposter seeking to derail or hijack the puzzle. Cicada had repeatedly warned of such false paths and insisted that any message lacking a valid PGP signature should promptly be disregarded. That's why this image, posted exactly a year and a day after the first, provoked such a frenzy. After a year of lackluster imitations, this image finally matched the official PGP signature. Cicada was back, and it was time for round 2. The second puzzle was not too dissimilar from the first. The image enclosed a message, the message led to a book, the book produced a link, and gradually the puzzle unfolded. At one point, a recording titled "The Instar Emergence" was uncovered. Another clue led to a cryptic Twitter account, which then led to an image. The image proved vital to the progression of the puzzle, but the inclusion of this runic alphabet would remain a mystery for quite some time. Much like the first puzzle, the second swelled into the physical world when a list of coordinates compelled participants to once again take to the streets in search of enigmatic posters. This time it was 8 locations in 4 different countries. But eventually the trail went cold once again. Another select group of first arrivals had been accepted into a final, private stage of the puzzle. Unlike the first puzzle, the second did not conclude with an official message from Cicada. The trail merely went cold, and Cicada vanished once more, leaving us no closer to an explanation. However, this was still not the end. At the beginning of 2014, it was time for round 3. Once again, the image enclosed a message, the message led to a book, the book produced a link, and suffice it to say, it was more of the same. Except this time the puzzle seemed to revolve around a strange book. The book was titled Liber Primus, meaning first book in Latin, and was evidently written by Cicada. The runic alphabet uncovered in 2013 finally made sense, as the book was primarily written in runes. Even so, the meaning of the translated pages were cryptic at best. The book consisted of various philosophical and ideological ideas and appeared to be their manifesto. Many have since compared the strange writings to that of a cult. Nevertheless, the book also comprised a myriad of clues and codes. For example, this page advised participants to seek out a website on the deep web, but the site remains undiscovered. Another page led to a website containing yet another recording titled Interconnectedness. However, a significant portion of the book has yet to be translated. The runic text on some of the pages appear to be obfuscated by layers of encryption that has yet to be decrypted. Of the 74 pages featuring runes, only 19 have been successfully translated. As 2015 came and went without the launch of a new puzzle, many came to suspect the Liber Primus had to be completed if Cicada was to return. This was more or less confirmed at the beginning of 2016, when Cicada encouraged a re-examination of the book. More than 4 years have now gone by with minimal progress and near complete silence from Cicada. Questions raised by the original image have gone ignored. What is the purpose of these puzzles? Who's behind them? What happens when you reach the end? When the initial image appeared on 4chan back in 2012, many assumed Cicada 3301 to be an alternate reality game designed by a corporation to promote a new service or product. For example, Microsoft developed an elaborate ARG back in 2001 to promote the film Artificial Intelligence, and a similar viral marketing campaign was used to promote the release of Halo 2. But the release of subsequent puzzles and the complete lack of commercialization has more or less eliminated that possibility. If we choose to believe some of the leaked information from the private end stage of each puzzle, then we do gain some insight into who this group might be. For example, at the end of the first puzzle, finalists supposedly received this email. In it, Cicada described themselves as an international group who believe that privacy is an inalienable right. The aim of each puzzle is to recruit like-minded individuals in an effort to develop privacy-conscious solutions. The email then concludes with 3 questions. The PGP signature, which would have confirmed the authenticity of the email, was conveniently removed by the leaker. If a version with a valid signature does exist online, I was unable to find it. But regardless of its legitimacy, I find this question a bit odd. It reads, "Do you believe that information should be free?" Assuming the expected answer is yes, then the very first sentence, "Do not share this information," seems a bit hypocritical. While the idea of a secret society recruiting individuals by means of elaborate cryptographic puzzles may seem a bit absurd or even conspiratorial, it's not entirely unfounded. Corporations and governments alike have employed similar recruitment techniques since at least the Second World War. In 2013, the British intelligence agency GCHQ launched a recruitment program known as Can You Find It? Participants had to decrypt a number of cryptograms hidden across the internet, and those who managed to solve the entire puzzle were offered a prize or a position at the agency. Google did something similar with enigmatic billboards back in 2004, and the US Navy launched a near-identical project in 2014. Okay, but then what about the recruits? Why have we not heard from these chosen few? Well, we have. It's just that separating a legitimate finalist from an imposter is virtually impossible. In a 2015 interview with Rolling Stone, 2 alleged winners of the first puzzle chronicled the events beyond the final stage. After receiving an email from Cicada, they were taken to a forum on the dark web. Here they could communicate with 20-some-odd recruits as well as a handful of established members of Cicada. They were told that Cicada 3301 had been founded by a group of friends who shared common ideals about security, privacy, and censorship. The goal was to work as a collective to develop software applications in line with that ideology. As friends recruited friends, this secret society quickly expanded into a decentralized international organization. The recruits were then tasked with developing software that fit the ideology of the group, and members of Cicada would oversee their progress. But without the allure of a puzzle to be solved, the recruits quickly lost interest. By the end of 2012, all but one had left, and a few months later, the site was gone. They never heard from Cicada again.
ये है क्रैक स्ट्रिंग्स अब हर बैट में पाओ क्रेजी बॉल्स लेफ्ट को थ्रो किया राइट को गोइंग स्विच्ड ऑफ लाइट्स ग्लोबल इज ग्लोइंग ये वाली मस्ती ग्लिटर वाली शाइन प्लैनेट बॉल्स ऑल आर माइन चलाओ टेस्ट का टैंगी चक्कर और कलेक्ट करो सारे क्रेजी बॉल्स क्रैक्स रहो बिंदास
Choose how you want to use Galaxy AI. On device or online. It's your choice.
One of the 2 winners, named Marcus Wanner, later elaborated further in a video by YouTuber Nox Populi. Furthermore, Nox Populi himself claims to be a winner of the second puzzle, so I reached out to him and this is some of what he had to say. After completing the final stages of the second puzzle, Nox Populi received an invitation to join Cicada 3301. However, he was not invited to a website but was instead merely told to be patient. Then, around May of 2013, all communication with Cicada abruptly ceased. This was around the same time as when the website dedicated to the winners of the first puzzle was suddenly taken down. Nox Populi later contacted other winners of the second puzzle to compare notes, and their experiences were identical. In his own words, all the stories were the same. We were invited to join 3301, then something happened and silence followed a request for patience. Nox Populi supposed that roughly 5 others completed the second puzzle, in contrast to the 20-odd winners of the first. In regards to who or what Cicada is, Nox Populi believes they could be a remnant of the cypherpunk movement of the late 80s and 90s. Essentially a small group of activists advocating widespread use of strong cryptography and privacy-enhancing technologies, but he admits that there is no way to know for certain. If you want a far more comprehensive walkthrough of these puzzles as opposed to my brief overview, Nox Populi has produced a number of videos on his channel which I highly recommend. While these accounts cannot be verified, they do make for a very compelling argument as to what Cicada is. A group of anonymous developers seeking to develop privacy-conscious.
Hey Vsauce, Michael here. There's a
and he was headed to that friend's home right now, but he'd be unidentifiable. However, the dozens of photos found on this particular hard drive were different. Because rather than hiding just out of frame like all the other predators seemed to do, the man behind these images had instead...
गुड मॉर्निंग गाइस, चुके हैं आज का दिन, सबको राम राम। तो आज के दिन में हम जा रहे हैं पहली रशियन क्लास सुबह 8। पता नहीं इनको क्या है, सुबह 8 बजे रशियन की क्लास लगा देते हैं, और क्योंकि मैं दीदी
In 2010, deep into the Atacama Desert, completely blocked off. On top of this, there was no way to ensure that another collapse would take place.
Trauma. It's a word that's thrown around a ton on the internet nowadays, but it can manifest itself.
Often, I think about dying. Now, I consider myself a reasonably intelligent person.
में ऐसा क्या मोमेंट था that
Unbelievable. Name a random number between 1 and 100.
61.
Okay, that's pretty random.
Let's name a random number from 1 to 100. Random.
43.
43. Thank you so much.
56.
7.
I want the most random number between 1 and 100, like totally random.
11.
37.
79. 79. Thank you so much.
91. 7.
3.
37.
37? Why 37?
I don't know, it's just the first time I came from online. 44. 27.
37. 72.
4. 13.
7. 37.
Really?
59. Merci.
13.
7. 37. 37.
73.
37. 35. 37.
37. No way.
43.
2.
37.
I knew you were gonna do it. You just 37 and walked away.
Between 1 and 100.
No thanks.
Okay.
37.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
83. 37.
37.
87.
55. 37. 37. Oh, can I shake your hand?
I love the thought you're putting into this.
37.
No, you are kidding me!
Fucking hell.
Elon created an app and he knew who won 4 hours before the results. So 4 hours before they called it, Dana White told me, Elon was like, I'm leaving, it's over, Donald won. He somehow or another put it all together. I don't know how he did it. But Dana said he had an app and he was like showing them. Elon created an app and he knew who won 4 hours before the results. So 4 hours before they called it, Dana White told me Elon was like, I'm leaving, it's over, Donald won. Somehow or another, put it all together. I don't know how he did it. But Dana said he had an app, and he was like showing them. Elon.
You assisted with one of the biggest discoveries in science in recent memory, the Higgs particle.
There's a prediction from the 1960s, a mathematical prediction. Then, about 10 years ago, we decided to build the biggest scientific experiment ever built, 16 miles in circumference underneath Geneva. We accelerate protons, which are these simple particles, to 99.999999% the speed of light, at which speed they circumnavigate this ring 11,000 times
You
a
get
second.
them spinning around this ring really fast.
One the other way. We collide together, 600 million of these every second. In every collision, we create the conditions that were present less than a billionth of a second after the Big Bang. We take photographs of those 600 million collisions per second, and we find out this guy from 1965 was right, which is, I think, one of the most remarkable achievements.
You assisted with one of the...
A lot of your music is quite crude about women and sometimes insulting. Do you think that your music isolates women compared to men?
At times.
Do you think that's okay?
It isolates men too. I don't discriminate.
men?
Yeah, I don't with you. I don't with it. It's the same thing. You diss men all the time. Is this like a woman justice thing about Rita or something like that?
Should I still listen to it if I don't agree with what they're saying?
I only speak about my experiences. At the end of the day, I'm not here to talk about the difference between and women.
So am I a or a woman?
I don't know you well enough to tell.
I came, I saw, I came, I saw, I praise the Lord, then break the Lord.
A lot of your music is...
My vengeance ends now.
You cannot change. You will always be a monster.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
I know you're not the god you once were. And now is your chance to prove it.
Return my son, or you may meet the god I once was.
Will you destroy? The hands of death could not defeat me. The sisters of fate could not hold me. And you will not see the end of this day. I will have my revenge!
That's not the problem, is it?
No. Death can have me when it earns me.
You left your coat on George Washington's boat. Duke donated $5. You're the reason they invented double doors.
Damn, son, not Naruto.
Bro's so short he uses a sock as a sleeping bag.
Non-stop. The energy of your city.
This is embarrassing. If you want to win a Nobel Prize, explain what is dark energy and dark matter. Now, we think we're so great. Atoms of oxygen, carbon, nitrogen. We think that's the universe.
What do you do? Right now I'm working at Trader Joe's. Okay.
Trader Joe, that's what we call this guy. He's sold out this country.
This would be the first. Why doesn't the Fallen experience aging like other Transformers? Many aging Transformers, like Bulldog and Ironhide, often lose parts when they transform, with some even showing signs of senility, but the Fallen remains fully intact. Why? To understand, we need to know why Transformers lose parts as they age. Transformers are living mechanical beings, not simple robots. When their energy is depleted, their bodies age, resulting in part loss and even forced stasis. Take Jetfire in the movies. After staying on Earth for ages with low energy reserves, he could only stay dormant in a museum until Sam used an Allspark shard to revive him. The Fallen, however, doesn't suffer from these issues because he has access to a specialized energy replenishment chamber. When he's inactive, he rests in this chamber, receiving continuous energy infusions through tubes implanted in his body. So why doesn't Sentinel Prime lose parts either? This is because Sentinel was revived by Optimus Prime using the Matrix of Leadership. Why doesn't the Fallen
Money. Let it be so. an honor, cousin.
Into the fires of battle, onto the anvil of war.
I was worth $1 billion dollars. Let me tell you how I spent it. First thing I bought, Gulfstream G5. Now, I didn't just buy it. Emailed the guy and I'm like, can I do a test flight? First time I'd ever been on a private plane. Oh, this could be my plane. So I stacked up some more and I sent him an email saying, Don, $40 million, I'll buy it. Second purchase, I paid $285 million for the Dallas Mavericks. Third big purchase, there's this amazing house. The guy who owned it called me and said, you can buy it right now, but you have to.
First round is Muay Thai. Look how he walks across distance. Walks right across distance and bop, bop. Hits him with a two-piece chicken meal. Right here, you just got to keep on moving. Beautiful. I'm going to go back there real quick. Right here. Over your right lands perfectly. And look at the foot placement right here. All I have to do is push on this side. And that's going to be easy takedown in MMA. Easy takedown. Okay, I'm going to go back. Right here, I get rocked. Look where my hand is. My face is wide open for a right hand. Again, and then look, that left hand lands and that right hand comes whee right across. Round one's over. Let's go to round two. Bop, whee! Get his back. Jiu-Jitsu's king, boys. Now right here, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know a little secret here. Look at the athletic ability right here. I use this to keep my balance. Right here, I'm on his jaw. You can break somebody's jaw by doing this. Right there, I'm locking it up. Now I got it. Now it's just a matter of time before he goes to sleep. And he does. Here, I'm like, hey, is he okay? You good? You all right? You good, baby? First round is Muay Thai. Look how he...
Make it out alive. All right. Hands on the mausoleum floor. Blood stains the Coliseum doors.
Hold on. Yeah. Yo, we got a problem. The crowd isn't moving. What's going on? I take this side, you take this side. Freestyle live.
I'm gonna take the middle.
Killer, here we go.
Like that. The waxy residue on your rhyme style is ridiculous. If you're misogynist, then you probably cannot get with this. If you sip with this, we'll leave no witnesses. See, nobody can touch one job less, and I mean this. So I'll be like Osiris, better yet the Isis. If you talking females, it's the state of the nicest.
Hold on. Yeah. Yo, we got a problem. The crowd.
एक लॉ स्टूडेंट जो है उसको पुलिस वालों ने रात को रोका था एंड जस्ट बिकॉज इज अ लॉ स्टूडेंट उसने लीगल आंसर दिए तो उस आधार पर पुलिस वालों ने उसका मारा पीटी की बिना कपड़ों को उसको लॉकअप में रखा और क्योंकि वो उसके अगेंस्ट कार्रवाई वहां पर नहीं कर सकते थे तो उन्हें फर्जी केस बना दी। पूरी रिकॉर्डिंग में कन्वर्सेशन ये है कि कानून ये कहता है कि आप मशीन बुलाओ टेस्ट करो अगर मैंने शराब पी रखी तो जेल में डाल देना मेरे को बट पुलिस ऑफिशियल और एडामेंट टू से कि आप थाने चलो आपका हम ब्लड सैंपल लेके टेस्ट करो उससे इलीगल अमाउंट की कॉलिंग की तो उसने मना किया। उन्होंने कहा कि भैया आपने शराब पी रखी है पहला केस बनाएंगे। तो जो लॉ स्टूडेंट सामने खड़ा है जिससे आप एलिगेशन लगा रहे थे उसने शराब पी रखी है जो जबकि उसने नहीं पी रखी है आपने ब्लड सैंपलिंग करा इसमें भी शराब नहीं निकली तो आप हाउ कैन यू कैन से दैट यू आर नोइंग दैट ही इज अबाउट टू कमिट अ क्राइम इन अ डिजाइन ऑफ अ क्राइम। तो इन्होंने इनके खिलाफ 170 फर्जी केस दर्ज कर लिया और उस फर्जी केस को चलाने वाली जो ट्रायल कोर्ट है ही इज सिटिंग एट द सीट ऑफ अ जज एंड एक्टिंग लाइक अ पुलिस ऑफिशियल। तो इस केस में कौन है
सर? एक्चुअली उस नाइट में पम्पिंग से रूटीन चेकिंग चल रही थी रात में सर 1:15 के आसपास होगा।
एक लॉ स्टूडेंट जो है उसको पुलिस वालों ने रात को रोका था।
ग्रूमिंग गैंग्स क्या बोलते हैं? लड़कियों को ग्रूम किया जाता है छोटी उम्र से। क्या स्कूल की लड़कियों को टारगेट करते हैं? वो क्या करते हैं कि लड़की देखी उसके सामने कोई लड़का आएगा बाइक पे गाड़ी में थोड़ा फैशन में थोड़ा पैसे वैसे दिखा के और ग्रुप में आएंगे उसके बाद इसको अपने ग्रुप में लेंगे उसको मौज मस्ती करवाएंगे खिलाएंगे पिलाएंगे क्लबिंग जाएंगे ड्रिंक होगा ड्रग्स भी होते हैं। उसके बाद उस लड़की के साथ कोई प्रपोज करेगा उनमें से कोई एक लड़का उसके बाद वो लड़की उस रिलेशनशिप में जाएगी। व्हेन दे गेट फिजिकल उस टाइम पे उसके वीडियोस बनाए जाते हैं। फिर उस लड़की की ब्लैकमेलिंग शुरू होती है। फिर वो लड़का जो है वो बैकफुट पे आता है और वो इंट्रोड्यूस करता है उसे बाकी लोगों के साथ और वो सारे एक एक करके लाइन में लड़की को सालों साल तक एक्सप्लॉइट करता है। वो लड़की को इस लायक नहीं छोड़ते कि वो किसी और के साथ शादी करके रह सके। ग्रूमिंग गैंग्स क्या बोलते हैं? लड़कियों को ग्रूम किया जाता है।
I know you have abilities. I just don't know what they are.
My special skills include viola, web design.
Back then, bro, boxing would go until someone died.
Yeah.
The greatest number of rounds was 276 in a 4-hour and 30-minute fight when Jack Jones beat Patsy Tunney in Cheshire in 1825. Each round of a fight would last until someone was knocked down.
Oh my God.
Back then, bro.